One thing I find so interesting about animals is how versatile they are, and how we humans find a way to exploit nearly every creature that we come across for its natural gifts. And I've gotta tell ya, there are few creatures we've exploited more than the goat. These poor horizontal-eyed freaks have given us everything from the fur off their backs to the milk in their udders.
It's a very strong coffee with milk from a goat.
They've been used as sacrifices to the gods, noble steeds to the gods, as well as lawnmowers. And to give thanks for their service, English speakers today use the term goat to refer to these select few individuals who've reached the pinnacle of their craft and represent the best of what humanity has to offer. The greatest of all time. But how does the goat's reputation compare to its role in the Chinese Zodiac? Are astrological goats as helpful and selfless? And what unique part does the goat play in Chinese myth? I'll be answering all of those questions today on Astrology Explained, which is sponsored by Squarespace, but more on them later. Because depending on where you get your Chinese Zodiac info from, you may have seen the sheep used in place of the goat. In fact, I almost said the 8th animal was a sheep in our first episode, where I talk about how to find your 4 pillars and the myth about the Zodiac's creation. But I learned something interesting from Aaron Huang, whose book on Chinese astrology I've been using as a baseline while cross-referencing it with other sources. And I'm just going to quote it directly to avoid my own mistranslation. The Chinese word for goat, yang, most closely translates to Caprini, a tribe of closely related animals within the Caprinae family that includes both sheep and goats. But if you had to pick one, the goat was most likely the animal referred to when the ancients named the Zodiac due to its greater prevalence in Chinese agricultural history. So there you go. You're not hurting anyone by saying sheep, but technically goat is the proper term. Which means that frantic email I panic sent to my artist when I thought I had completely messed up the translation and needed a new sheep character drawn to replace the goat wasn't totally for nothing, but it mostly was. Now, at risk of repeating myself, the goat is the 8th animal on the Chinese Zodiac, right after the horse, which we talked about last month, and before the monkey, which I'll be discussing next time. Like all animals, the goat presides over years, months, days, and hours, but the only constant is the hour. Babies that pop out between 1 and 3 p.m. are destined to inherit some goat traits, which are invaluable but also run the risk of being too much of a good thing. You see, the goat's natural element is yin earth. This means they're supportive and nurturing. If someone in their social circle needs a helping hand, the goat will be there, whether they're helping a friend move or offering a shoulder to cry on for their family. Goats like for things to be copacetic, tranquil, chill AF, not just in their own lives, but everyone else's too, meaning that when tempers flare, it's the goat who maintains a level head and tries to calm the room. Their generosity is reflective of what their animal counterpart has shared with humanity. Over millennia, goats have given us meat, milk, spiritual security, and their fur is even used to make the luxurious fabric we call cashmere. Now, while the astrological goat's natural tendency to want to take care of the people they love is extremely admirable, it's not without its problems either. For one, their social circle might come to expect them to fill this role, resulting in severe overreactions when they aren't able to. At a certain point, some will come to see the goat's personal sacrifice as the bare minimum, not a selfless gesture. And on the rare occasions the goat looks out for their own best interests instead of others, they get lambasted. They're called selfish and accused of never caring in the first place. On the flip side, some goats can be way too overbearing, constantly showering their loved ones with unsolicited gifts, compliments, and advice.
And then, to finish, we'll snuggle.
But while the goat thinks this is expressing love, it's also a kind of control. The goat will expect her loved ones to be eternally grateful for her sacrifice, and she'll hold it over their heads every chance that she gets to guilt them into doing what she wants. But that's just an overview of astrological goats. We can get way more specific by gauging how the 5 elements of the zodiac affect them. First, though, I've got to tell you about the sponsor who made this episode possible, Squarespace. Whether you're trying to kickstart your side hustle, show off your portfolio, or finally turn that hobby into a business, Squarespace can make your dreams a reality through the power of web design. Normally, I would say designing a website is an intimidating venture, but Squarespace makes it so simple. It's all in one. No plugins, no updates, no calling your cousin who kinda knows web design. You just use their AI-powered website builder to generate a fully functioning professional site. After answering simple questions about your industry and personality, Design Intelligence will conjure up a site from scratch that has all the features you need and fits the vibe you're going for. But let's say you want to make a few tweaks, like adding a playlist for your original music, or creating a members-only section for paying customers. Squarespace's Fluid Engine allows you to easily drag and drop elements without any coding required. Plus, if you're trying to sell stuff, digital or physical, they've got e-commerce tools built right in, as well as an intuitive inventory management system. So head over to squarespace.com/Jon Solo to start your free trial. And when you're ready to launch, be sure to use code Jon Solo to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So for those who are new to this series, I would highly recommend you watch my episode on the creation of the Zodiac to determine your 4 pillars. This is how the year, month, day, and hour of your birth fall on the Zodiac. If you've already seen that episode, then you know that beyond the animals, your Zodiac is also influenced by the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And as you might expect, each element has a unique interaction with the animal. Starting with the first element, wood. As we established in previous episodes, wood is the most creative element, and the goat is pretty damn artistic too. So the mixture of wood with the goat's artistry results in extremely creative individuals, looking to express their passions with whatever outlet they're given. Like all goats, they're also extremely social, but not in the way you would think. They don't necessarily want to be the center of attention. They're content being part of the crowd. That being said, when they do open up and make themselves vulnerable, it usually leads to them forming a deep connection with someone else. The fire goat might be the exact opposite. They're the most independent by far, and that passion we normally find that goats have for helping other people is turned completely inward, focused entirely on getting the fire goat what he or she wants. Now, to the fire goat's credit, his end goal might be something noble, like stealing from the rich to give to the poor, or helping America's kindergartners put down their vapes in favor of a smokeless nicotine alternative. But their laser focus on achieving a certain result may lead to them appearing callous or uninterested when asked to do something outside of their scope. Then you have earth goats, maybe the most reliable of the bunch. These guys are at their best in support roles, but there is a catch. While they are as solid as a rock, they're also like rocks in that they don't move much. So rather than seek out those who need help, the earth goat expects others to come to them. As Huang so eloquently puts it, they make themselves a safe port in the storm. I can see how some might argue the earth goat isn't reliable if they're not seeking out the friends and family to help, but the trick is communication. Once you understand how the earth goat operates, you just have to remember to ask them, because when they know you need them, they will be there. After earth comes metal, and as you might expect, metal is known for being rigid and severe. You don't get a lot of give when it comes to metal, which is ironic because usually all goats do is give. These elements directly opposing each other leads to some interesting results. Metal goats have the same creativity and desire to help others as the rest of their chin-bearded brethren, but their methods are like a master blacksmith making a blade in his forge. Trial by fire is their chosen teaching method, and they're extremely critical, so if you don't get it perfect, they have no problem burning you. All goats are a little materialistic, but the metal goat takes pride in her high-end taste. She considers herself a critic, an expert in all things art, and you would be stupid not to take her advice. The 5th and final element is water, which takes the goat's empathy and dials it up to 11. Water goats are compassionate individuals and extremely good listeners who can get along with just about anyone. Because of their kind disposition and willingness to make themselves vulnerable, they connect with others easier than most. They just have to be careful not to push their caring too far. As I mentioned earlier, the water goat can be a little overbearing, and when they meet an independent person who isn't interested in their help, they have a hard time coping. They see this independence as a kind of rejection and take it personally.
Someday, I hope you have children of your own, and they treat you like this. I gave my life to my children on a silver platter.
Their innate desire to help others means that astrological goats make for excellent teachers, doctors, philanthropists, and coaches. So if you're finding a lot to relate to in my breakdown of the goat personality, these could be potential career paths for you. But how does this all relate to goats in mythology? Does it relate at all? Unlike our previous two subjects, yes, it actually does. But here, the goat's empathy manifests itself in a bizarrely violent fashion, because the most notable goat from Chinese myth is, without a doubt, the Sheji. And like always, I apologize for my potential mispronunciation. Sheji wasn't exactly a goat per se, but he did strongly resemble one. Described as an unaesthetic, fierce, mystical beast, the Sheji was said to have long black fur, hooves, and a singular horn on its forehead that it used to punish the unjust, those guilty of harming others for their own personal gain. Now, unlike other judgmental mythical beasts we've talked about in the past, like Ammit from Egyptian mythology, who devours the hearts of the selfish and immoral dead, Sheji does not consume the flesh of its victims. The Sheji had the ability to tell lies from the truth, and after an accused criminal made their case, Sheji would judge them as guilty or innocent, and if found guilty, it impaled them with its mighty horn and left their bloody body to be cleared out by court officials. Because, to be clear, the Sheji does not judge you post-mortem, it makes you mortem. Yeah. Instead of waiting for you at the entrance to the afterlife, Sheji served the courts in the prehistoric Chinese Empire. In fact, to this day, courthouses and colleges in China still display statues and emblems of Sheji in much the same way that we in the West display Themis, the Greco-Roman goddess of justice who is not a goat, but rather an angel-like figure donning a blindfold, a sword, and a scale to ensure balance. Personally, I think it's funny that the Chinese Zodiac portrays astrological goats as these empathic, loving, sensitive individuals who wouldn't hurt a fly, while the most noteworthy goat from Chinese myth also has a soft spot for the downtrodden. Only instead of offering support, it offers swift and violent justice. Kinda like Batman, who's equally emotionally unavailable. So how'd I do in my assessment of the goat personality? Do you goats feel like I was describing you personally, or was it the exact opposite? Let me know in a comment, then remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode on the Monkey Zodiac. Until then, my name is Jon Solo, and remember, Jon shot first.